the inimicable Chris Wise. He's going to show up, but he got stuck in Houston. He had to work today and is getting here as quickly as he can. They had some bad weather. And he and I came up with the idea of creating an opportunity to pick a few poets who are really great, can really perform, and have long poems and give them a chance to share it. And so the experiment was whether such exists, but also whether there's an audience for it. So this is our third episode. We're holding these every 2 months in different locations, and it's been a great success so far. This is starting to be a great success already, and I hope it continues that way. And so, what I'm going to do is introduce each poet. They're going to have 15 minutes or so to perform their poem, and as creatively as possible, because the experiment is how do we hold an audience of potentially non-poets for that length of time and keep them interested. The wine is going to help, but I think performance is also important. So I'm really happy to have three wonderful Galveston-based poets here tonight, and myself, um, and for a total of four. The first one is someone who's many things, and we're going to learn about the many things that she is, and self-described as an astral projector, a timeline jumper, a dreamscaper, an architect of hope and purpose, a speller, a mother to one and only one. So her poetry is going to give us a goddessy vibe that TLDR hasn't really had otherwise. So I really appreciate that. Please welcome to the stage Sharon O.
Hello, my name is Sharon O. So the thematic things of my poem is like the I am. So like the I am poem that you learn to write when you're in like middle school through high school. I just based my epic piece on that. So we're gonna go through all the things that I am in addition to that. What I just said. Let me elaborate. Okay. I choose what is right. I choose what is right for me. And so I choose to live the life of a bandit. Bandita, they call me. Street side, they watch me. From the sputtering yet turning somewhere in this mind of mine. Words are coming. There are things that music does to me that I can't undo, and I don't want to be ashamed of it. The truth is, people will not like this mask of poet, but wouldn't you know it? I wear it anyway. Who am I? A healer. I know how the outer foot affects the opposite inner thigh, affects the opposite lower back, affects the opposite mid back, which affects the neck, then the eyes. Root affects sight, which keeps you balanced, which helps the insight make you whole again. Like I said, I'm the traveling middle point of infinity, but here I am trying my best to explain the very thing that makes me human, to make deeper points without touching you too deeply. Who am I? A temper, the one that threw a plastic Fisher Price piano at my sister for what are now reasons unknown, but I can assure you, as vivid as the fight about the definitions of metaphor and simile that we had as teenagers, I was in the wrong, and now she's dead. How do I explain that I used to get angry? But I'm better now. I think psychedelics helped a lot, though it's always back there, knocking. Who am I? A goddess. Pele, Mahina, Brigid, Kuan Yin, Isis, Shakti, Freya, Bast, Athena, Pachamama, Mazu, Inanna, Eos. I am that I am. The perfect part in your lips is where I call home. I weave beautiful things out of your mouth. I make you into light. I need to be around what I can never truly be, okay with the powerful energy that comes from my heart. But I must control it or else my favorite mask, this beautiful, dark, sneaky thing that makes good men pretend to be bad and bad men go mad, might come off. And surely this Medusa would get eaten alive by her captives, but I am clever enough to have another mask behind it. Who am I? A mother to a delicate flower of a soul, ripening on her mama's vine. Many years will pass before her fruit will drop, and I patiently care for her through all of her transitions, small and large, physical and metaphysical, happy and sad, to death do us part. I nurture her senses, planting seeds of my heart in her heart as she plants, as she nurtures my senses. My thoughtfulness gains traction as I begin to mother all in my life. I am kind, I am patient, thoughtful, attentive, loving, affectionate, doting, and genuinely care for my ceiling of a girl. Even as I sit beside her, my demons hanging on my shoulders. I am brave. Who am I? And so I dedicate this one to you. Let me get off my skirt first. Okay. I dedicate this one to you. I am your diamond, pearls, and lace, the sunshine on your face, your beautiful disgrace, your fractal outer space, that lovey dovey damaged goods, the one that makes you want to pray when you're lost, sad, or lonely. I am the one you want to call that particular singularity, that most sparkly one of them all. A rainbow that comes to you after the rain falls, and the sunset you get so high on, you reach out to put it in your palm. I am your lazy stream. I am your cool and calm. I am that crazy dream you had that make you forget reality. I am your ass too tight for them jeans, your favorite jelly bean, your heavy whipping cream, that strawberry you ate that was so sweet, that ice cream cone, the place you call home, your undercover thought, furry blanket, fluffy clothes, making bacon because it's a mood. I am your platypus, the last thought that crosses your mind before you drift off into the night, the moth to your flame, your price is right, that silly look that you like when I get all shy. I am the love that multiplies and spans the distance, even when that distance is time. I am your cup of tea, that one truth that will set you free, that one last drop from a canteen when you've been past thirsty, crawling in a desert of memories that are more like a fog until I come to give you that clarity you need, that thing you prayed for, your oasis in the dark, under stars that go on for miles in all directions except under your feet, where I keep you grounded so I can fly. So you can fly because I am also your wings. Make me yours and I'll be your queen. I won't ask you, but you'll want to bend the knee, but I will be eager to bend beside you. I am your solidarity, your spice up my life, your worry and strife. I am your belief when I say I love you. I am that love you give right back. I am your lunar addiction, your immediate relief, your inner vision realize that peculiar personality that makes you think things that you've never thought before, that urge you can't resist to kiss because I am also bliss, cuddled up to you in a warm little ball. I am your wish, your fancy dish. I am that beacon of light at your port of call. I am your dear sweetie baby honey pie, that woman that makes your eyes swing and your shoulders sway. I am the reason you want to dance. For real though, I am. Thank you.
All right, let's thank Sharon. Oh, Sharon, don't go away yet. Don't go away yet. So, thank you very much. And what we do at TLDR, that you don't see in most open mics, is give the poets a little bit of time. And part of that is to allow them to maybe answer a few questions, not a lot, maybe two or three questions about the piece. If anybody wants to make any comments or questions, and I'll start because you need time to think about it. Um, so Sharon,
Yes.
you're drawing on so many traditions in this piece. I love the singing bowls and the singing to add to it, and I think that adds so much to the
Thank
piece.
you.
Um, but can you talk a little bit about just I see things or hear things from your childhood, things from spirituality, things from different practices. What are all the threads that come together that you think are important?
Well, all the threads of each layer that makes me a person. So it's more of like very introspective. Like all my work is more introspective. I don't really reach out, and relate, um, like outside myself. So yeah, so those threads are just, yeah, bits and pieces of a person.
Anybody else? Yeah, okay.
You're just like, that was
All
good.
right.
Let me have this thing.
What, Bucky? Bucky
Yeah.
Ray.
Mhm. Massage therapist. Yeah. Um, it it interacts a lot, I guess, because when you learn more about the human body, again, it's that introspection thing that I'm really like very into. Um, it's like almost like when I massage people, I can see like all the little threads, as he says, and each thread has a story. And as you get deeper into there, into the cells and to each atom, they carry, the entire, the Akashic records of the entire map of the universe. So it's like I'm just fractalizing with my words. So that's the whole basis behind that, but starting from a simple place of I am.
Fantastic. Okay. Thank you, Sharon. Sharon O, ladies and gentlemen. Now we'll be trying to get the singing bowls out of the way while I introduce the next poet. And I'm really, really pleased to introduce the next poet. I met this individual 2.5 years ago, and we've been doing poetry in the same place since then on a very regular basis. And I've been inspired by him. He's really I'd say, the current face of poetry and spoken word on Galveston Island. His group, Apotheosis Epidemic, has been leading poetry open mics at the Proletariat on the third Thursday of every month for 7 or 8 years now. I can't remember the number, but it's been a while and going very strong. It's packed nearly every time. His book of poetry, What's Stirrin', is available for sale. And another thing I'd like to recognize this poet for is to some extent, the energy that he puts into bringing really great poets from Houston and beyond into Galveston to perform on a monthly basis, but even more so for really supporting and encouraging and nurturing new poets who are the first time on the mic every month and really makes them feel comfortable and loved and coming back. And the evidence is in coming back. So really, really fantastic guy. Bobby B Dubs Wilson.
Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing? What's stirring? Thank you, Joe. I appreciate all the kind words. We'll just get into this. This poem is known as The Show Must Go On, and it is in my book that is for purchase. And for tonight only, I have two for 30, normally 25 a piece. So if you're interested, please see me after the show. I'd greatly appreciate it. Support your local artists. Thank you. You set the dates and have the place theater, lounge, bar, or hall. You have the contacts of talented acts, so it's time to make the calls. You have your derby, Stetson, or fedora. Let's say you wear many hats. Verbal commitments, handshook agreements. Your performers are all on board. Now it seems you have a show. You're confident, one unwavering hope that all systems are a go. Switching gears to the next mode, the artwork for flyers made ready to promote, advertisement, marketing, eye catching colors, themes that ring. You're trying to create a buzz to garner people's interest in coming out and having fun. From the gorilla to the classy, tagging cars, billboards, or poles, leaving posters in neighbors' yards, radio slots, TV spots, attending other producers' functions, showing love and support. So maybe they'll come to your event with the same type of encouragement. Newspaper ads, Facebook, and Twitter, all the media you pray is covered. So the artist will have an audience to perform for. You make sure every stone is unturned. You expect the performers to have their own crowd following for ticket sales or at door fees, frequenting the bar or tip jar change. Looking forward to the crowd coming in droves and swellings. The day has come, and all on your mind is anticipation of showtime. It's showtime. Uh oh. Uh oh. Bad news. Bad news. The first of many to come. You know you can't back out. The show must go on. The feature will be late, locked in jail, no fare for bus or taxi, overbooked, forgot the date, mishap with friends or family. It's seconds before the curtains open. Some of the main acts are still late, not answering their phone. The crowd is getting antsy, but the show must go on. Someone call at all so you don't know if they're on their way. You worry, have concern, wishing all is okay. Your DJ has gotten lost. The mics you have are frayed. The singers or rappers' music is the wrong track or scratched and will not play. In the back of your mind is what else can go wrong? But the show must go on. And the crowd. Oh man, the crowd is losing all of their patience. In their seats, they're dancing back and forth, they're pacing. A group of friends that came together have gotten mad and left. Supporters of the performers exhaling heated breaths. Patrons of the lounge, bar, or club at first notice they're excited to see some live entertainment that seems to be provided. They get a drink or two, some food, and anxiety kicks in. The entrance door now faces their backs. They too are gone with wind. Maybe one or two are there, loyal to the cause. Because you didn't start on time, there's empty seats and floors. But no matter how many came and went, don't bring the fat lady out for song. You cannot run, no place to hide. The show must go on. No tickets have been sold. The show must go on. Only a few acts have committed. The show must go on. The place of business, your night omitted. The show must go on. The bar loses their liquor license. The show must go on. One or two, a few in crowd, the show must go on. Family, friends, no support around, the show must go on. The show, the show, the show, the show, the show must go on. The show, the show, the show, the show must go on. Brain flagellants on stage, the show must go on. Can't think of next line to say, the show must go on. Scene partner not on the same page, the show must go on. The CD scratched, so now it's skip, skip, skipping along. The show must go on. Don't remember the words to your own song? The show must go on. Crowd too large, haunted by stage fright, caught like a deer in the spotlight. Wrong props, costume coming apart, makeup too dark. Mic card has a short. Money wasn't paid up front. Feature took the half you gave in advance and still didn't show up. You, the producer, director, stage manager, ad designer, MC, and headliner. But the people, few and large, are really the ones in charge. And a brief reminder that the show must go on.
All right, everybody, B Dub. Let's hear it now. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
I,
sir.
I got to tell you, I read that poem a little while ago because when we were talking about you coming on here, and it just scared the crap out of me because anybody who organizes things like that, all these things happen, and you do have to deal with it. So I found this to be a very real
Yes.
scenario
Very real.
type poem. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, tell me, these all drawn from real things that have happened, more or less? Oh,
Curating and co-curating, producing and co-producing and performing as an actor. One of the lines I state in there is forgetting your line on stage. I was in a play in 2005 at ETC when it was located on Post Office, and Rumors by Neil Simon. And I literally forgot what the fuck I was supposed to say. And I was stuck just there, and I didn't know what my line. Thankfully, one of my co-actors, Shanika Holland Grant, like called me back to what the heck was supposed to be next. So yeah, so that and one or two in crowd, no one showing up. I've been through a little bit of everything that I mentioned in this poem, and like Sharon was stating, most of my poetry does come from an internal place, and some of it is observant, some of it is political, but definitely that piece I've experienced just about everything in that particular poem. So yeah,
thanks. And anybody else? Questions? Yes, John.
absolutely, in all ways, absolutely. Yeah, I was trying to find a way to do it to be entertaining, but to be informative. And rap, jazz, a little scatting is in there as well. I found the rhythm, and I just let the rhythm speak for me. So a lot of people um, would like to state that rap is poetry, and indeed it is. But you can't forget every other genre of music. Every form of music is poetry. Rap just happens to be the one that is rhythm and poetry. So you have that. But yeah, definitely that. Definitely.
I'm Jonathan. Jonathan, go ahead.
What we call John? Why in the hell would you torture yourself like this? I started writing in 1996 at Galveston College, and it was an assignment actually. I was just doing assignment for Dr. Taylor, Dale Taylor, at the time, and I was just cracking a joke, and the assignment in our journals was to write a poem. So I wrote the poem, and I was just teasing a fellow classmate, and I was telling her, "Watch me write this poem in 2 minutes," talking shit. And so she was like, whatever, whatever, you and her got something going on. So she told you in advance about the poetry and stuff like that. I was like, cut it out. So anyway, so I wrote the poem, and when I finished it, I was amazed. I didn't even realize I had anything like that in me. And after that day, I just kept writing and kept writing and kept writing. And I couldn't stop writing. And now I'm still writing. Thank you, Mr. Jonathan. What we
Yeah, yeah. What's that? What's I have to admit, it was only the other day at the last month that I had not the foggiest idea that rhythm and poetry was rap. That's what it meant. I didn't know that.
Absolutely.
So I learned that at the last session. So thanks again. Let's hear it for B Dub.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, the next poet is a treat. This is someone, I'm just going to say his name because a lot of people are here just to see him. John Gorman, who lives here on the island. He came to Galveston in 1980 as one of the original faculty of the University of Houston Clear Lake campus. And I know that there's people here who have taken his class over various years in time in creative writing and poetry and various literature courses. And I would say a reasonable fraction of the best poets in Houston learn their craft from John Gorman. And he's been very much loved at the First Friday series, which has been going on for 40 something years. I don't know what the right in Houston on Main Street. 52? 52. Okay, that was 12 years ago. I guess it was 40. Which is an amazing period of time for something like that to continue. And John has a lot to do with that. And he's been president of the Galveston Roundtable of Poets, which I don't know if that exists anymore, but it was a very strong organization at the time. He's published widely in the U.S. and in Canada. Um, he's a very humble person. He's someone who could give you a 2-page resume, gave me one little paragraph of things to say, and I'm going to stick to that. But really, the patriarch of poetry here on the island, and we're really pleased to have him. John, you've got the stage.
Well, as you can tell by the way I climbed the stairs, I have been around for a long time. I was delighted when Joe approached me and said, do you want to do a long poem? So I went fishing around for something. I have a wonderful long poem that I lost. You know, I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but oh man, I was kicking myself because it was one of the great poems of all time. And trust me on this. Um, and then I dug out this one. This poem is called The Truth. It has 147 lines. And I was looking at it and I thought, well, when I write poems, I like to have what William Carlos Williams calls singiness, very clearly seen objects and actions, lots of sizzle along the sensory lines. And I was kind of scanning down the page, and I thought, this is pretty abstract. And then I thought, imposter syndrome. But I looked at it again and I said, well, I don't know, there's some nice stuff in it. And then I was reading it and I got into the rhythms and I thought, this is one of the great meditative poems of the 21st century. So then I felt better. The truth. The wreckage of the leaves, wind drifted into the grass by the abandoned synagogue. I've written this poem before. I've always loved emptiness. This year we've had rain and rain and rain. The grass is green in the last days of December. Even at 9 or 10, I courted emptiness. A shy boy, arranging to meet her just at dusk or in the light before dusk. Blue light in empty streets, the declining neighborhoods of declining cities, or cities still busy but elsewhere, out at their edges, out by the superhighways. Even at 4 or 5, I was watching discarded objects in the alleys, brooding on patches of grass and weed seedlings where the concrete slabs or curbs had broken. The universe has, this whole time, been unfurling its ancient explosion. Rays and waves, clusters, ellipses. It was doing this perfectly before I walked down Winnie Street and found the leaves sad, before we appeared at all on the planet, me and my kind, herding emptiness, trying to get it to blossom, reshape itself, wanting everything richer than it is, with speech like our own, wanting what can't come, wanting what's gone. The leaves spoke that other language, unconscious adequacy, resignation. Each was particular, none objected to arboreal cycles or the physics of wind. As I tried to learn their tongue, I tried to convert them. You're sad, I told them. Why don't I keep my eyes on the page, huh? You're sad, I told them. You're a sadness I walk in. There was, I suddenly noticed. Oh, okay. There was a. Oh, hey, that's what. Do you want me to start over? I know. I know the answer to that one. There was, I noticed, another tamperer, a younger guy, a workman, seemingly alone across the street where a 100-year-old house that might soon have fallen now won't, perhaps, for a while. I don't know what changes he was urging, his in Spanish, on the stubborn flow, but it was dusk, the end of his shift. It was the day after Christmas. Who else was working? There's always room among us for dissatisfactions, for wishing we were making love or famous or back in Michoacan or walking briskly toward friends, toward food from home and beer at the taqueria, or slowly along Winnie Street, wishing the human lifetime were 10,000 years, as it would seem to certain insects if we could teach them how to ask our questions. Two North American men arranging and rearranging themselves among long term uncurlings and coolings among the big fates. Sometimes, doubtless, each of us touches the bridge of his nose because it tingles, and maybe this is a perfect prayer. But we don't think so. We're egos, irritants, atoners, seekers of revenge. One theory says that while the workman was on the west side of the house, the scene by the temple was entirely unavailable to itself until I came along, scattering twitchy meanings, and he rounded the corner, catching me, probably, out of the corner of his eye, and we're scooping in dots of objects and shaping them, shaping ourselves into little completions. There's evidence that that's what we think we're here for, bringing the violent inertias to wispy, impermanent life. The synagogue held for X years the mild rituals of reform, for Y years the stronger doses of masonry, everyone yearning away from starting points too convolutedly rich or too bland. For now, a few of the rooms belong to an artisan, a man who works in glass. Duration C, hereafter to alpha, beta, gamma, and on into Arabic. How strange we are when we make an account of ourselves. Actually, it took only a moment to notice the leaves, the young man, to see the young man was Latino. I already knew about the building. Actually, I kept moving. Actually, I kept moving forward. Get this, am I cosmic or what? Toward a labyrinth. Actually, I kept moving toward a labyrinth for the dead. I've always visited the dead, even as a boy, walking cemeteries, staring into reliquaries at ships of bone. You can see, you can see the power of personal magnetism. Um, staring into water quarries at pieces of bone, yet attending to vacancy, loss, is the undertow to my joy. Or is joy the undertow? Anyway, it's tidal. Something in it swirls up and down again, and I keep being me. I decided, back at the corner of 21st Street, to swerve west, by happy chance, a proper mythic direction for encounters with the dead. If I hadn't always done this, I'd fear my own poem as a portent. I'd fear to touch one of the as yet unchiseled out but polished pink granite slabs, lest it prove mine, and these lines a last outpouring, words in the shape of the groove I've worn in the invisible, perhaps unreal, tablet of space and time. Though, of course, I will die, sooner every second than ever before. And, of course, the poems of that odd boy, enchanted youth, the lonely man out walking at twilight, are water in the shapes of grooves, worn by electrons in brain weavings, worn in a continent of streets by a lifetime of inexpensive shoes, boots, a pair of those sandals sold with the tire treads that were popular once, a signal of collective specialness. The tablet might or might not be real, but I've carved something in it. It's odd how, getting this old, I've kept not reaching the dead. In real life, I went straight from the reef of leaves across 23rd Street and up the step or two, where there's also a wheelchair access among them. These dead are Episcopalians. They've defied the unshaping power that wrecked them by having their bodies burnt to ash and sealed in sculptural granite plinths in this lovely space with its fountain backed by Victorian Gothic walls, form cast cement imitating stone. The twilight deepens. The labyrinth isn't really much of a puzzle. The plinths are low. The eye sees the whole arrangement at once. We are, by the way, in Galveston, Texas. Our city is built on gathered sand, a barrier island, 5,000 years old and doomed, they say now, by melting ice thousands of miles to the north and south. It interests me, waiting for the resurrection in this flimsy spot in the billions-year-old turmoil. In winter twilight, a tiny donation to the turning world from its self-extinguishing sun. Faith, art, the oddest thing about us, we have to be the gate, a wellspring to or from something beyond our hard-won logics, the weight of what we are proud to know. And so I visit the dead, read their names, note the way this tiny enclave is filling the gleaming pink slabs engraved chastely, emptied forms as 4 or 5 facts. And as to facts, I'm less lonely than I seem here, less likely to curl up under an abandoned house with 40 ounces of malt liquor in a syringe and never come out. Nothing I've learned will keep me 5 or 7 minutes later from being annoyed with the boy in line just ahead of me at the counter of the RC Coffee House who can't decide what he wants. If you know Galveston, you know I've jumbled the streets and buildings a little, as in El Greco's view of Toledo in its storm, though maybe not quite so permanent in effect. And yet, I'm willing to move, as I am moving, closer to eternity or the end of myself in time, saying, this poem is the truth. Thank you.
All right, yeah, let's thank John Gorman. John, let me, let me ask you a question. When did you write this poem? I read it some time back, and I'm just curious.
Um, well, it was before Nancy St. Paul took over the temple down by Rosenberg Library. So it was probably 15 years ago.
Oh, it was that long ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, since I'm this old, I was already old at the time that I wrote it. So I was capable of being an expert on age and deterioration and the struggle of consciousness to keep effecting change.
Yeah, it's a deep. This I love the fact that it's the Galveston kind of situation and the setting, but there's a deep philosophical poem, and I'm it feels like Buddhist to me. Is there that kind of what's kind of
Well,
in
I
there?
think there's probably something to that. I am myself now an Episcopalian, um, but I've always been interested in Buddhism and the idea of the ever changing world, the idea of the dew like world where all forms evaporate, and yet there's something that remains. The Buddha truth, the Nirvana, the thing at the heart of reality, the thing that has sustained the passing show of time. So, yeah, I mean, I think there are religious overtones to the poem or undertows.
Anybody else? Comments from outside? Okay. Uh, let's Bucky.
If I'm remembering, and of course, remembering is a strange thing to talk about when you're 81 years old. As I'm remembering, it all came together pretty quickly. It just started to tumble out and tumble out and tumble out, and that's often the way it is when I write a poem. Um, I do look at it afterwards and I make revisions. And the revisions, theoretically, everybody who teaches creative writing says this: your poem gets shorter and tighter when you revise it, but mine get longer. you know, I just sort of drool on and add all kinds of things. Uh, but I'm actually pretty happy with the way the language holds together in this one after all those years. Yes,
Oop.
Father Michael. If I get credit and if it's a sermon. Okay, fine. The newsletter will do. I don't want to be overly ambitious for someone who isn't even ordained. Um, but yes, by all means. Kelly. Oh, it's been of supreme importance. Well, we moved down here in 1974, actually, when UH Clear Lake was founded. We'd been living in Boston, and I had never been to Houston except when I came down for my job interview. And so I asked around among people in Boston, said, well, what's Houston like? Am I going to like it? And they said, oh, you're going to hate it. But you will like Galveston, which turned out to be true. But I got into First Friday in Houston, and that was an absolute lifesaver. It was wonderful to see the richness of the poetry scene in Houston and in Galveston, and the quality of the poetry, and the way people would come together Friday after Friday after Friday for the readings and the open microphones. Uh, Made a lot of good friends, and it was the way I bored my way into Houston and became someone who was pleased with it instead of one of these crabby Yankees who says there aren't any lilacs, that there aren't any peonies. But how are you supposed to live in a place like this? Um, but I discovered that in the company of so many poets, it was a delight to live in a place like that. Chris, oh, your hand was up because you were pointing at a fan. Is it on fire? Are we doomed?
All right, let's thank John Gorman. Thank you,
Thank you.
John. And we're running more or less on time, to my great surprise. And my co-host Chris Wise has arrived a little while ago, and I'm going to do two things. I'm going to let Chris Wise come up on the spot and introduce himself and say anything he has to say, and then I'm going to ask him to introduce me. And while he's doing that, I'm going to do a little bit of setup for my little piece, which will start in a couple of minutes.
So, hello everybody. I finally made it. I'm sorry about that. It was raining pretty bad up there, and I had to wait for it to come down. My name is Chris Wise. I run the Atomic Underground. I saw they had a radioactive sign up there, which is kind of nice. Um, I guess, did you explain why we put this on and why we did this? Okay. So there's that. And I knew that I love these poets, and I definitely wanted to see them and for everybody to get a chance to hear them. And so, there's that. So I don't want to run on with it. You got your band? All right. Um, so yeah, Joseph was going to fill in for somebody, and then everything fell together, and so he'd already put all this together. So we're going to do it anyway. So um, come on up, put your hands together for my friend and co-host Joseph Machado.
All right, thanks. This is going to be the last poem in the main series, and we're going to take a little break, and then we'll have an open mic. We've got about 5 or so poets signed up for the open mic, which will be shorter sets. So I'm going to do a little poem. I think it's a timely poem because it's about enrichment of radioactive isotopes, which is a topic that's been in the news lately. And it's one of my favorite themes to talk. Occasionally, I'll write poems about industrial accidents. And I learned about this one actually from Paul Swiney, who's here today, who actually was an active person in this particular drama and has some firsthand information that he shared with me once at some sort of fundraising thing we were at. And I thought it was really interesting, did a little research, and over time it's turned into this. And I would like to introduce first the Hazmat Band. So we've got Jason O'Donohue on the guitar, Mike Quast on the trumpet, nearly, and Paulo Castillo on the stand-up bass. Now these guys are amazing. I love working with these guys, and we'll do it quite often. And they'll take an okay poem and make it awesome. So that's what I love. You all set? Yeah, I'm good. All right. Atomic Man. When Harold McCluskey clocked in for his shift at the Hanford plutonium finishing plant, it was the night of his 40th wedding anniversary. When, after his expert fingers squeezed a pipette and ominous brown billows of vapor appeared, it was just a little past 3 a.m. When superheated droplets of nitric acid tore open the ion exchange column, the summer had begun to wane. When searing splinters of americium 241 shattered the lead line protective glass, it was America's bicentennial year. When Acid vapor and deadly dust charred his face and lungs. It was the day after a long union strike had ended, when Harold McCluskey, bleeding and blinded, was dragged away from the noxious scene. He'd been dreaming of his approaching retirement. After Harold, writhing on the floor, was stripped and washed, the burns and the blood were too severe to permit further scrubbing. Before the overstimulated needle leaned violently off scale, he'd already been carried to the decontamination chamber. After the doors to the laboratory were sealed with lead, they would not open again for 33 years. After radioactive metal burrowed deep into his bones, the dosage exceeded 500 times any accepted maximum. While the overladen isotopes were shedding alchemical fires into his tissue, none of the doctors were expecting Atomic Man to live. Before Atomic Man began residence in a thick-walled, windowless structure, he'd been carried through its leaden door by men in spacesuits. Before he would exit that ponderous door, it would already have become 1977. During Atomic Man's twice daily baths, fragments of metal and glass were extracted from his skin. When Atomic Man received daily injections, they contained chelating chemical salts of calcium and of zinc. After the soft anions coaxed heavy metals from his tissues, Atomic Man was relieved to expel radioactivity in his urine. After 150 days of treatment, his readings decreased by 80%. After several more days of medical deliberation, Atomic Man was permitted to return to his family. When his closest friends were invited to visit him, they discovered numerous reasons to decline. When Atomic Man returned to rejoice in the fellowship of his church community, panicked pews emptied themselves around him. While the plutonium-239, enriched at Hanford, was tirelessly protecting our collective way of life inside intercontinental ballistic missiles, arranged in neat rows of underground silos, Atomic Man became too winded to play with his grandchildren. While minute specks of the oxide of americium byproduct served as silent sentinels inside home smoke detectors, Atomic Man frequently felt unable to haul his fishing gear or push his boat into the lake. Before Atomic Man added those drops of nitric acid. He had remembered that the long lapse in the procedure could destabilize the ion exchange column. After consulting his supervisor, he was reassured that it would be safe to continue. When Atomic Man tore open the envelope, the settlement check read $275,000. When he signed his name upon it, it was because he had bills to pay. When Atomic Man found the strength to attend industrial safety conferences, he hardly needed to confirm the danger. Still, he extolled the benefits of nuclear power. When, at age 75 years, Atomic Man was succumbing to death, he was not angry. After the autopsy, his natural death was attributed to pre-existing coronary heart disease. After each organ was at great pains inspected, no hint of cancer was detected. When that ponderous door shield was pried open by an intrepid team of hazmat stormtroopers, the mangled contents of Harold's glove box were rediscovered undisturbed for a generation, in a chaotic stillness that echoed the havoc that composed it. When the demolished site is rendered clean enough to cease remediation and monitoring operations, not one soul presently reading or listening will still be living. When the dense radionuclides that reside in Atomic Man's corpse find peace and at length cease to emit ionizing radiation, the world that surrounds it will be wholly unrecognizable. When the patient Earth releases its last radio vestige of him, Harold McCluskey's story will have long vanished from human memory. Thank you. The Hazmat Band. Woo. And oh yes, Scott McDonald provided the hazmat suits from British Petroleum. And Paul for the story. Come on up. Yeah, I meant to say that, but I was in a hurry to get started.
I was
so you might have gathered that Harold McCluskey is a real person. And the point of this poem was to demonstrate that Harold McCluskey is a real person, and not to make it a poem that is complaining about corporations or doing the usual thing, but to just recognize that he was a real person, and he was rather heroic, and I'd say very heroic in his approach to the whole situation that transpired and mature. He was nearly at retirement when the accident happened. And he did not die from it. All medical records suggest he lived for, about a decade after it occurred, and died of other. He had heart problems to begin with, and that's what killed him. And we've seen his picture here, and part of the projection is to basically communicate in various ways his realness and the fact that there's people out there doing industrial work, and it's sometimes dangerous.
Yeah. All right. How did you go about breaking up what you researched down into the poems? Did you have a method to that, or is it just
No. No. So, I Googled the hell out of it, and there's lots of. This is an important topic in industrial safety because Harold McCluskey survived the highest dosage of radiation that anyone's experienced and not died. Lots of people have had more, but they die. Um, the point is, he survived, and it was just rather amazing. And I think something about his constitution. And so, yeah, there's lots of information. I sort of sat on it and tried to put it. It's not in a sequential order, but it sort of started that way. And the focus is on, I would say, from a poetry point of view, uh, conjunctions of time, right? When, after, during. So it's very much a sequence oriented kind of listing of the facts. And I tried to stay to the facts and not the emotions, and tried to occasionally loop back when it seemed, sort of narratively clever to do that. I don't know if it's true, but that was my attempt.
I got two more questions. I'll turn it over to the crowd. Well, I forgot the first one, and I forgot the second one. No, I'm just kidding. So,
Ask the second.
how many times did you work with your band on it? And are these all the same guys that you worked with before? And I'll think of the other one later, or we'll just forget it.
So yeah, great question, because yeah, I work with this band sometimes. This is something I've done in the last year or so, is add music, and I'm just enjoying the hell out of it. Jason O'Donohue and Paulo Castillo have been the mainstays of putting the music together. And the thing that's so fun is they read the hell out of these poems, and they like really get it. And then we write the music, and it's just nice to have an audience of two who are really paying attention. And then this is the first time Michael Quast on the trumpet has come in, but not the last time. Michael's amazing. Also a recent retiree, and has become part of the team. So we're going to do a show in 4 weeks' time, exactly 4 weeks from tonight, at the Proletariat, called "When Winter Tamed the Horses," and it's a long poem with theatrics and set and costumes and music and drawings about the Bronze Age story of the domestication of the horse about 5,500 years ago by the Yamnaya people. And it's going to be really crazy and fun. So that's the band. And sometimes, Catherine Stroud has played her flute, not tonight, but at other shows. And we've had Jasper, the jazz young fellow who joins us sometimes. So the band changes a little bit from time to time, but it keeps growing. So we're going to keep doing it.
All right, I remember what I was going to ask. Was that actually the end of the cycle, or did you just stop because that was the fill of your time?
The poem ended.
But that was the whole thing.
That's the whole thing. There isn't any more poem.
All right. I didn't know if you had like another part, his radioactive bones or something else.
There could be a sequel. You never know.
And then he rose again.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes. So yes, there'll be a sequel.
Okay, good. Would anybody care to or have a question for?
Well, yeah. So you're asking the question in the general and the specific form. So because it depends on how much time I have to sit down and do it. And I think that's true for almost all of us. So sometimes they stew for 15 years. Sometimes they stew for a week or a day. So this one was probably a couple months, I think, between when Paul told me. So I said, oh, this could be a poem. And then I really wrote it down. And I was kind of on a roll at that time. So that's quicker than average for me. I'm not that quick, as Fox will attest.
Anybody else? I have to say, I was pretty embarrassed when I snuck in and then dared to move my arm, and John goes, "Chris!" I was like, "What?" I'm outed. There you go.
Ap- Apparently, yeah. I've been accused of worse things. Oh, that sounds like the B-dub question you're asking. Um, I used to have a professor who would always ask the same question, no matter who the speaker was. Um, yeah, probably about 35 years ago or so. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I was really like a deep scientist back in those days. I'm not anymore. But I was kind of serious. And then I realized one day, or decided one day, I'm just not broadly educated. I know like a lot of stuff, but I don't know, like, there's a lot of stuff I have no idea about. So I just went on a little quest and I ended up writing poetry after that somehow. I don't know why. That's enough, I think.
All right. Put your hands together for Joseph Machado. All right. And his man.
Thanks. And thank you. We're now taking a break, and we do have an open mic. So yeah, we're
Where's the
really
sign-up?
bang on time. The sign up sheet's over here somewhere. I'll find it. Here it is.
Okay.
And
Easily accessible.
let's
behind
give
the
us
stage.
15 minutes, get a drink, and then we don't want to go all night. I mean, people like to get home. I know that. I know I'm one of them. So we'll try to start again in 15 minutes if you can stay. But this is the formal, official part finished. There's not that many, but I think Lupe might. Well, I already said it. Remember we said it's closed.
Here, this dude.
You can go find people.
Ashley Marco. What's his name? What's the novel writer guy?
Oh, Jonathan Wood.
Wick?
Wood.
I got you, man. And then Lupe Mendez.
Hey, everybody. Uh, Real quick, I just want to say I'm Brandon from Indies Coffee. I want to thank all you guys for coming out for this thing. And I want to say you guys have beat all the musicians that have come in here by how many people have shown up. It's like completely nuts. I wasn't expecting this. But thanks for coming out and supporting all this stuff and hang around. We're looking for more. Okay, guys? Thank you. They're hot? Yeah. Yes, sir. Hot, live.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say to you, please stick around because the best is yet to come.
Well, there you go. That's what happens when you leave the mics hot. People just come up and say what they want. Yeah,
Okay, yeah. Okay. You want to just? I'll get your attention, and then you can.
I got it right here. Hey, when we started doing this, I thought, I definitely want to showcase, but I also want to leave room for other people of the area to participate because poetry is sit and get enough. It is our job, I think, to invite people to also share the mic because there's a lot of brilliant writers out there that you may not know, and it'll be such a pleasure to hear. So I'd like to open up the open mic portion of the reading, and we only have a few, so if you're not on the list and you'd like to be, come see me. At first up, could we get Mr. Jim Boone, please? Put your hands together. All right.
You have no, John knows, you have no idea how wonderful it is for somebody to step up to one of these mics and see all these people. All right. I moved to Galveston in 2007. I did my first public reading of my poetry at age 52 in my hometown of McKinney. So we're going to start out with one that I wrote there in 1999. Still rowing and getting short of breath is how life can feel when it starts aching and we pause, catch our breath, and reflect. Everyone didn't plan, no. Some can't, and many won't measure up or keep up, while sticking close to home or chasing around the world, searching for the searcher for love and a sense of pride. Don't know where you've been or where I'm going, trying to get in and to get out, or so they say. Couldn't go back if we wanted to, can go forward if we will, while we keep on rowing and getting short of breath. Now that was 1999. This is 2025. I'm now 88, going on 89. And my signature poem is Out on a Limb is the only place to be on the tree of life. Not sleeping in the shade, not clutching and afraid, but scaling to the heights of imagination, possibility, going out on a limb, poised for flight. Worry not about falling. You can only get bruised, broken, or meet your maker there. When you go out on a limb, dance. Dance. Thank you.
All right. Next up, I'd like to invite my good friend, and I'm also a fan of his work, Mr. Bucky Ray.
Thank you, Chris. I know Joe said to keep it short, so I picked a poem that only feels like it goes on a long time. How long does it take to write a poem? Is it an hour alone hunched over your angst with a cat swatting your laptop keyboard with a persistent tail waving in and out every time you think you found the perfect adverb? Or is it 18 minutes on the pothole bumpy bus ride between home and the corner closest to your detestable day job? Or is it that 20 lost seconds when your eyes burned with tears because the news was on hard repeat, from the cops on the beat, black blood on the street, or an unloosed noose swinging 2 feet, and you knew what you had to say in your reign. How much time does it take? You want a day and a half in a Vermont cabin in the thick of the woods, a drizzle massaging the window next to the plaid couch you curled up in to await your muse. But you get a long summer with a toxic partner who punches all your buttons like a bad Alice B. Toklas. Plus, plus a summer after that to get over her. You wrote all your poems late at night from age 11 to 14 in a bed in a bead-covered spiral journal lit by flashlight under the tent of your bed sheets. Your head was a big top center pole from which the acrobats in your head swung free. You lost that kid in a chemical accident, and you will spend the rest of your life, of the universe, trying to get those poems back. It took 2.7 hours when you snuck away from your office cubicle at 3 p.m. on a Thursday afternoon after the boss fled to his unspecified doctor's appointment. While the production report was due, but an idea pushed into your head about a poem till quitting time, but you can always knock out the report by sneaking into the office early tomorrow before anyone arrives. Or maybe it took a whole lifetime to build a head like yours, insisting on saying words like these on a scatterpop schedule between nervous breakdowns because you were somehow born with not quite enough time to have something to say.
It's a sniper's rifle. Next up, please, let's have Kim Corson. All right.
So the story here is that I was one of Dr. Gorman's master's students back in 2001. And he was my master's thesis chair, which is right here, which has been rotting on a shelf for a very long time. And he always encouraged me to come out on First Fridays, and I always adamantly said no because I was scared to be on this stage. And I'm scared to be on the stage right now, actually, but I did not want to do it. And I constantly said no. He constantly came back and said, "Oh, you should do this." And I kept saying no. I graduated saying no. And now I'm 50 years old. And I finally found the courage to stand on this stage. And it's solely because I saw that you were coming to do this today, and I thought, you know what, I should do this. So I'm standing here. Here's my master's thesis. It is called Endless Storm. I'm not going to read the whole thing, I promise. I'm just going to read the title poem called Endless Storm from my master's thesis. So, anger falls upon our mouths like summer rain, which steams the earth with every drop and only makes our parched lips worse. Absorbing into nothingness, anger steadily falls. One can hear the sizzle, sizzle, sizzle of the heated rain upon our concrete slab of hope, melting down from a sweltering sky, lapping up lives with its searing tongues. Anger steadily pours. Drenched, it glides down our guttered dreams, ripping anchored feelings from their roots. Soaked, rage flows down dark canals, taints our words black with tar, dreary soot. Anger falls upon our world like summer rain. Its sticky, sulfurous residue clings to our past, numbing warmth with apathy. How coldly anger falls. Thank you.
Yeah, you've been ripping us off long enough, Kim. It's time you started coming out, man. That was great. Next up, I'd like to invite my good friend and an awesome poet, Kelly Ellis.
So I left my one little book at home, and yeah, my phone's dead, so I have to recite something for you. So this is my signature poem that Bucky made me memorize for a show he was putting on. So here it goes. It's called A Revelation About Genesis. It's about loss of faith, in case you don't get that. A revelation about Genesis. When God and I got a divorce, I got the 401k. He got the house with many mansions. I got the kids for now, he said. Nobody wanted the furniture. When God and I got a divorce, we were, what do you call it? Codependent, abusive, dysfunctional, and downright mean. You're worthless. No one will want you, he said, but they did. I had many gods before his face. They told me I was beautiful, and I believed them. When God and I got a divorce, he came around again, for he was a jealous God. Come back, he said. I still love you. Come back, he said. I'll take care of you. Come back, he said. I forgive you. I never did nothing, he hollered then. Exactly, I replied. After God and I got a divorce, I did not know my face. My house was dark, my room a mess. I slept for 6 straight days. When on the 7th I awoke, I dusted my dark shades. It's not so bad, I said. It could be good, I said, and had my day in court. But there was no one to make him pay, no one to make me work. Thanks.
That was amazing. Don't look around now, but there might be some poets up in here. Next, can we get Allison Moore? All right.
Well, this needs a disclaimer a little bit. I had 6 shots into my vocal cords yesterday. A virus, got me. So anyway, this isn't how I sound, but I hope you can hear me. Okay, all right, we're good. Mhm. This is called Liberty. She could topple at any moment. A plane strain off course, a bomb in someone's shoes. The golden doors bolted shut, and we did not even hear it close. They're not going to open her. You can look, but you can't come in. Once upon a time, there was a country. There was a we. There was a people made of us. Now the woman holding the light in the harbor sighs deeply because she's had enough. She's yearning to be free somewhere else. And so she turns and drags those broken shackles into New Jersey. Cars whiz by her, honking. She strides through the Midwest to Missouri and Oklahoma City. Looks oh so pretty. What's left of Route 66. A trucker from Arkansas stops, and she climbs in clanking, props her enormous green feet on the dashboard, puts the crown on the seat beside her. Holy shit, he says, where are you headed? I'll know when I get there, she says. Well, Well, how about a little country music along the way? Which country? Come on, I'm talking Johnny Cash here. Where you been? Well, I've been standing in one spot for well over 100 years. And so it's cry, cry, cry all the way to Tucumcari. And I walk the line way past Flagstaff. And he tells her how he traded the farm for the truck. And he went in hock for the insurance. And she nods. She knows it's expensive to be free. And she tells him about the millions who cried when they saw her light and how terribly lonely she's been. And so it's I Walk the Line and Folsom Prison Blues all down toward Calexico and on toward San Diego. And when they get close to the border fence, she points to something. It's a yellow family running hand in hand and a warning sign. And what is that? She says. Well, I think it's an illegal immigrant crossing, he said. Well, then you let me out right here. I didn't get your name, he said. You know, or you used to. She strides through the prickly pear without a scratch, and when she gets to the fence, she stops and she waits. She puts the crown back on her head and fires up the lamp. Before long, a family of 4 crawls toward the fence. She starts to speak to them. Give me, she says, and she stops. It's been so long. The little boy, the all one, he's been through school. He prompts her. You're tired, he says. You're poor. Yes, she says, I am. The little girl shines a flashlight upward onto Liberty's face, and Liberty cries from all that time alone in the harbor. But what does this little girl want? And she climbs onto the ledge of Liberty's toe, and that's what gets to her, the wonderful weight of this child, who is not huddled at all, but what does she want? A health insurance, a e-ticket ride in Disneyland? The little girl shines the flashlight upward. Libertad, she says, to remind her why she came. Libertad. Thank you.
Kind of sound like an illustrated book, man. That's cool. Next up, can we get Jonathan Wood, please? All right.
So, first thing I want to say is eat the billionaires. I'm actually not really a poet. I'm kind of a fake poet because I really write kind of gonzo noir crime fiction. That's my genre. But occasionally I've been inspired here in Galveston. And I think of myself as a short poet as opposed to what we heard earlier tonight. So here's a very short one. It's called The End. Grave digging is sweaty work. That's the poem. Sorry. Here's my most recent poem, which I've never read before. It's called Cuba Libre. Oh, and what you need to know, by the way, is there's a very famous black crime writer named Chester Himes who wrote a series of crime stories set in Harlem with a couple of black cops named Coffin Ed and Gravedigger Jones. So you have to kind of know that to fully appreciate this poem. Cuba Libre. I'm in the dollar store on Sunday. The man in line ahead of me has the most beautiful black skin, like silk. Mid-50s curly beard, he wears a wife beater, so his shoulders are bare. I imagine his girlfriend at home, wearing naught but a white slip. She lies like a Matisse goddess across a velvet sofa, awaiting his return. I think of a dark-skinned Ava Gardner in Night of the Iguana. On the coffee table sits a bottle of rum, a full ice bucket and tongs, and 2 glasses. She leans over and taps her cigarette ash into a glass ashtray copped as a souvenir from a Vegas hotel. As the ash falls, I realize I'm lost in a fantastical Chester Himes crime novel. Back in the dollar store, the man ahead of me says, "How's it going?" Or something like that. "It's the day of rest," I say. He laughs, as do I. "Next," says the checkout woman with scraggly red hair. He pays for his 2-liter bottle of RC Cola mixer. Then it's my turn. Moments later, outside, I see him walking home, daydreaming of the woman in the white slip.
So many kinds of catfish. Channel cat, steelhead. All right. Is anybody want to be on the list? It's not, because we're coming up on the end here. Yeah. All right. Sharon Goodwin, come on up, please. All right.
Okay. I just as an introduction, I was thinking I wrote this poem around Memorial Day just recently, and I was thinking at that time about how every generation in this country has had a war in their history. Every generation. That's really sad. My generation, it was Vietnam. And in this poem, even though this is something that happened in 1970, I was thinking about it then because that was my war, and that's what was in my mind. So this was just a brief time at that point when my husband had been fighting in the war in Vietnam. He was on the ground fighting and had been there for a year already. And they had decided that they were going to give the guys a break who'd been fighting and send them to Hawaii for a week. And it was a sudden thing, hadn't been planned. And that's what this is about. The title is He Wasn't There. I traveled to Hawaii alone, very nervous and timid, meeting my husband there, R&R from Vietnam. So quickly the trip was planned, his surprise evening phone call through military radio in Vietnam, giving me the date he would arrive. Special rate for me, airline helping military wives arrive in Honolulu, beautiful touch and clear, beautiful beach and clear water. Check in alone at the hotel, walk around in the morning, go to military station where he will arrive in the afternoon. Buses come from the airport. Many men depart. Couples hug and smile. But my husband isn't there. I try not to cry, not sure what to do. Military sergeant takes me to his office. Says another bus comes tomorrow. The sergeant calls Vietnam to my husband's company commander, leaves a message, and we wait. Probably be later, sergeant says. I wait and wait. No call back. Sergeant sends me back to hotel. He'll call me, he says. Afraid of what may have happened, but Sergeant finally calls. Husband will be here tomorrow. He offers to take me to dinner. I thank the sergeant for the offer, but refuse to go to dinner. Buy bread and peanut butter. Stay in my room for the night. The next day, I repeat the process. Back to the station, wait for buses to arrive. This time, he is there. Joy to see him fills my heart. He looks the same, but will never be again. We spend time enjoying Hawaii, but with many limits. He cannot be in crowds. Makes him very nervous. We do go to restaurants, but he must sit where the door is always visible in case he senses danger. He tells me not to hold hands because a loud noise could make him hit the dirt, and I would be taken too. Explanations made to help me understand. I see his wariness, wish I could help him. He will have to return to the war world. Responsibility for his men will all come back again. He looks the same, tries hard to act that way, but his heart and mind can never unsee this war. A war never fully named then, told not to wear his uniform when finally coming home. People often not kind to soldiers then. The first year home, nightmares wake him often. He ultimately told me what he dreamed about. It was the action that he did which awarded him the Bronze Star, saving his commanding officer, then killing the sniper himself. He never talked about the war, didn't like hearing others do it, told me if they talk a lot, they probably didn't do anything. He didn't care about that award, never spoke about it. I wore it as a necklace for years. He really didn't want it. I call him every Veterans Day and thank him for his service. No matter how long it's been, war is always a part of him. He seems his old self all the time now, but we shared memories he has with no one else. It made us stronger, even divorced now, still keeps us connected. Our love may have changed, not then, but later. Our friendship and respect has only grown as we age. That will always be the same.
I appreciate you sharing that. That's awesome. You guys remind me of a quick story, if you don't mind me doing one to close the evening. When I got out of the army, now I'm not near the man he is, but when I got out of the army, all my family had moved away, and I had a guitar, and I had my duffel bag, and that sounds kind of romantic, but it was actually terrible. I didn't have anything, and I was living in low-income housing, and I was watching the dumpster of low-income housing so I could drag out a bed. Um, you know, as poor as you could be, the one thing that'll make you feel horrible is not having a dresser. Weird thing. And we have beds that are off the grounds because bugs are on the grounds. And you forget that until you're on it all the time. But I did write this one poem. And yeah, I starved down from 175 pounds of military muscle to 147 pounds. And anyway, it says, I threw my empty across the room to the trash pile, sat back on the little couch. Friends were over. They had questions. They were poor too, but somehow figured I held a key and I was magic. And someday it'd move me uptown. Well, they listened, and this is what I told them. We all drink, sing, smoke, and dreams, but dreams are empty pockets if dream is all you do. And you can do that if you want, but you'll wind up like nearly everybody else that could have been a common man. It takes more to hustle ambition, persevere in the process of lonely nights, block and rewrites, peddling yourself to agents, publishers, and living the drunken misery of it all, man. But there are a few who endure, and when the dust settles, they're achievers. That's the difference in feeling like a winner or a loser. Achievers have all been dreamers. It's the easy part. It takes more to hustle your ambition, persevere in the process. And they listened, and I said, put on another record, grab me a beer. And they did, and I drank them all. All right. Thank you for being here. This was the Too Long Didn't Read reading series. My partner, Joseph Machado, really helped carry this off. And I think he wants to say a few things.
Yeah, not that much. I just want to thank everybody for coming. This was episode 3. We do this every 2 months. That's our plan. That's the plan Chris and I laid out some time back. And we try to alternate between Galveston and Houston. The location changes. I want to say that this has been an amazing location. I really appreciate Brandon and Indies for hosting us tonight. I appreciate everybody for coming out. We filled the house. About if it was any more people, it would have been really uncomfortable. So thank you very much. And there was a lot of people here who aren't poets and aren't normally coming to poetry things. And that's to me what's amazing is to try to get people to say, oh, actually, it's pretty fun. It's pretty cool. So thank you very much. And thanks, Chris.
Thanks. I want to say one more thing. I've got a reading. We had a good friend who's been reading in the community since the early 80s or late 70s. I'm not exactly sure. R.T. Castleberry or Roy Castleberry. He passed away, and we're doing a reading for him where Carolyn Adams is actually flying in from Oregon. If you know who she is, she's an awesome poet and was a good friend of his. And we're doing a reading Saturday at Cons, starting at 8 o'clock. If anybody wants to make it out, we'll read a few pieces from Roy, and then you can read one of your own that you think kind of fits the occasion. So hope you're there. Thank you.
Good night.